Captain's Log, Stardate 48912.7. The USS Penrose glides through the quiet fringes of the Beta Quadrant, her Galaxy-class frame cutting a graceful path at Warp 5. The great saucers section hums with that familiar, almost lullaby-like resonance I've come to cherish after 3 years in command. Soft blue corridor lighting, the gentle pulse of the impulse engines felt even in the deck plating beneath my feet. These are the moments that remind me why I joined Starfleet. Not for glory, but for the contemplative vastness of it all. We had been conducting a standard stellar cartography survey near the Epsilon Indi cluster, cataloging a handful of Class M worlds that showed promising mineral deposits for future outposts when the Priority 1 transmission arrived from Starfleet Command. The ready room was quiet that afternoon. I remember the scent of replicated coffee still lingering from my last cup as Commander Gustavo Arau, my first officer, stepped in with that easy, reassuring half-smile of his. "Captain," Gus said, his voice carrying the faint lilt of his Brazilian heritage even after decades in the fleet. Admiral Nechaev's office, marked urgent. They routed it through 3 subspace relays. I nodded and gestured to the viewer. On screen. The face of Vice Admiral Alina Nechaev appeared, her expression as composed as ever, yet I detected the subtle tension around her eyes. She wasted little time with pleasantries. "Captain McMurray, the Penrose is the closest vessel with the appropriate scientific and tactical complement. We're uploading coordinates and all available sensor telemetry now. Starfleet has received credible but fragmentary reports from long-range probes and a passing Bolian freighter of a pre-warp humanoid civilization exhibiting anomalous activity. Specifically, the presence of Borg drones integrated peacefully within their society." She let the words hang. Even Gus, usually unflappable, straightened noticeably beside me. "Peacefully," I echoed slowly. "That word and Borg do not often share the same sentence, Admiral. Precisely why we need eyes on the ground, or rather, discreet eyes. The civilization in question, which our anthropologists have tentatively designated as the Valorian people on Valoria Prime, is roughly equivalent to late Industrial Revolution level on Earth, perhaps early 22nd century equivalent, though accelerating at an impossible rate. They have not achieved sustained orbital flight, let alone warp capability. Yet orbital reconnaissance suggests Borg drones walking openly among the population, assisting in agriculture, medicine, and infrastructure. No signs of conflict, no mass assimilation grids, no cubes in orbit." The Admiral's gaze sharpened. "This contradicts every encounter we've had with the Collective since Wolf 359. Investigate, observe, and report. Under no circumstances are you to interfere with the natural development of this culture. The Prime Directive is in full effect here, Captain. You will go in undercover. Full anthropological protocols. Questions?" I felt the weight of it immediately. The fascination and the cold undercurrent of dread. "Understood, Admiral. We'll handle this with the care it demands. Penrose out." The screen faded to the Starfleet emblem. For a long moment, the ready room was silent, except for the faint thrum of the ship's life support systems, like a distant, soothing heartbeat. Gus exhaled. "Borg playing nice? That's new. Almost sounds like one of those bedtime stories we tell cadets to make them think the galaxy is gentler than it is." I stood, smoothing my uniform tunic. "Let's convene the senior staff on the bridge. I want everyone's input before we alter course." The bridge of the Penrose is a place of calm competence. The wide, sweeping curves of the Galaxy-class command center, with its warm wood tones and soft lighting designed for long shifts, always feels more like a scholarly observatory than a warship. Lieutenant Navi, our Vulcan operations officer and second officer, was at her station, her dark hair neatly pulled back, fingers dancing across the console with precise efficiency. At tactical, Lieutenant Marcus Mark David, though he prefers the shorter Mark David in most conversations, stood with his usual ramrod posture. Chief Engineer Maximilian von Roder's voice came through from engineering on the comm, his German accent giving every technical report a touch of old-world precision. Dr. Susan Jeffries was already present via hologram from sickbay, her keen eyes curious. I took the center chair. "All right, people. You've all reviewed the briefing packet. Thoughts?" Navi spoke first, her voice even and measured, carrying that Vulcan serenity that always steadied the room. "Fascinating, Captain. The Borg Collective, as we understand it from every documented encounter, operates on a singular imperative, the pursuit of perfection through forced assimilation. Drones are connected via a subspace-linked hive mind. Individuality is suppressed. Their technology, assimilation tubules, adaptive shielding, cutting beams, exists solely to incorporate and improve upon other species. A symbiotic, non-coercive relationship would represent a profound deviation. One might almost hypothesize an external, reprogramming event." Gus leaned against the rail. "Or a very elaborate trap. But the telemetry doesn't lie. These drones appear to be helping, building solar arrays, improving irrigation systems. The Valorians have apparently jumped centuries in technological development in under 100 years, from agrarian feudalism to near light-speed experimentation." Dr. Jeffries' hologram nodded. "Medically, it's intriguing. If the drones are sharing Borg regenerative knowledge without full conversion, the implications for disease eradication alone." It was then that Mark David spoke. His voice was tighter than usual, his hands clasped behind his back a fraction too rigidly. "With respect, Captain, this smells like the prelude to full assimilation. The Borg don't help. They took my brother at Wolf 359, Lieutenant Michael David, USS Kyushu. He was 28. The cube came through like a nightmare. 39 starships gone in minutes, 11,000 dead or assimilated. And Picard, Locutus, used everything he knew about us against us. I've studied every declassified tactical log. The way those drones move, even if they look peaceful now, it's a ruse. They're waiting for the collective to arrive and finish the job. We should go in armed, neutralize the threat before these people lose everything." The bridge grew quieter. I could see the pain flash behind his professional mask, the same haunted look that appears in the eyes of too many officers who survived that day in 2367. The Battle of Wolf 359 remains a scar on the Federation's soul. A single Borg cube, guided by the assimilated mind of Jean-Luc Picard, tore through our fleet with horrifying efficiency. Ships like the Saratoga, Melbourne, Bellerophon, vaporized or disabled in seconds. Escape pods drifting through debris fields while nanoprobes did their terrible work. I met his gaze steadily. "I hear you, Lieutenant. Your loss, and the loss of so many, is never far from any of us who wear this uniform, but we proceed by the book. The Prime Directive exists for precisely these situations. These are a pre-first contact people. We observe. We do not reveal ourselves. We do not interfere, even if our instincts scream otherwise. Disguises, minimal technology, anthropological cover as wandering scholars or traders from a distant province. Understood?" Mark David's jaw tightened, but he gave a crisp nod. "Aye, sir." There was apology in his eyes already, though the fire remained. I made a mental note to speak with him privately later. He's a fine officer, tactical instincts sharp, loyal to the core. But the Borg remain his personal abyss. Lieutenant Commander von Roder's voice crackled from engineering, warm with his accent. "Captain, we can prepare the necessary holographic emitter adjustments and period-appropriate clothing. I will ensure the replication patterns match local textiles down to the fiber. Also, I recommend low-profile communicators disguised as jewelry. Efficiency above all, yeah?" Navi added, "Sensor logs indicate 3 primary population centers near equatorial agricultural zones. The Borg presence seems concentrated around newly constructed energy facilities, solar and geothermal arrays of elegant design, quite advanced for the culture's supposed timeline. I allowed myself a slow breath, gazing at the star field on the main viewer. The stars streaked gently as we adjusted course. There is something meditative about commanding from this chair, the sense that the universe unfolds slowly if you let it, like a great symphony played at half speed. Set course for the Valoria system, Warp 7. We'll use the journey to refine our cover identities. Dr. Jeffries, prepare medical profiles so our away team can pass basic physiological scans if needed. Navi, compile everything Memory Alpha and Starfleet Intelligence have on similar pre-warp acceleration events, though I suspect this one is unique. Gus, you'll lead the initial away team with Mark, Ensign Tillera from Anthropology, and myself. We go in as observers only. The hours that followed were filled with that deliberate, almost ritualistic preparation I find soothing. In my ready room, I reviewed the deeper files. The classic Borg image haunted the pad. Pallid skin, black armored suits with tubing and implants, one arm often replaced by tools of assimilation or destruction. The chilling declaration, "We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile." Yet here, reports suggested drones performing acts akin to selfless labor, repairing wounds with precise nanoprobe assistance, constructing thermal generators that powered both cities and, apparently, their own regeneration alcoves. How does a hive mind built for conquest become symbiotic? The question lingered like incense in a meditation chamber. As the Penrose dropped out of warp at the edge of the system, the view screen filled with the soft blue-green marble of Valoria Prime. Clouds swirled lazily over continents dotted with what our passive scans revealed as growing metropolises. No orbital defenses, no satellites even. Just progress, guided by figures in sleek black that moved among the crowds like guardian angels in the local holy iconography. "Remarkable," Navi murmured from Ops. "Their atmospheric ionization levels suggest heavy use of new fusion-adjacent power sources, Borg-derived, yet optimized for planetary sustainability rather than conquest." Gus stood beside me. "Captain's instincts?" I rose slowly, the weight of command and curiosity settling comfortably on my shoulders. "Cautious wonder, number one. We beamed down to the outskirts of their southern capital at dawn local time. Simple robes, basic translation matrices disguised as prayer beads. We listen, we watch, and we remember that sometimes the universe writes stories even Starfleet cannot predict. Captain's log, supplemental. The away team is assembled in Transporter Room 3. The air carries the faint ozone scent of the pads warming up. Mark David stands a little apart, checking his concealed phaser one last time, his expression a careful mask. I see the internal struggle, the desire to protect these people from what he endured at Wolf 359 warring with duty. I will watch over him closely. The mystery of Valoria Prime awaits. A civilization saved, or perhaps merely delayed in its inevitable fate. The drones move among them not as conquerors, but as partners. For now, we honor the Prime Directive as the highest expression of respect. To let a people find their own path, even when that path walks alongside the most improbable of companions. We step into the light of a new world, hearts steady, minds open, and voices quiet. End of transmission for now. Captain's log, stardate 48913.4. We have arrived at Valoria Prime. The Penrose holds station just beyond the system's outer asteroid belt, her sensors whispering passive data across the bridge like a soft evening rain. From this distance, the planet appears serene, a gentle marble of blue oceans and verdant continents turning slowly beneath scattered clouds. Yet every scan deepens the enigma. No orbital platforms, no radio chatter beyond simple analog transmissions. And yet, nestled among the growing settlements, unmistakable signatures of Borg technology hum in perfect harmony with the world below. The away team is ready. We have chosen simple disguises, layered robes of coarse local weave over lightweight environmental suits, our comm badges concealed as ornate prayer beads and dermal patches subtly altering our skin tones and facial features to blend with the Valorian population. Navi's elegant Vulcan features have been softened to resemble a scholar from the northern provinces. Gus carries the easy posture of a traveling merchant. I appear as a contemplative elder chronicler. Mark David. He stands ready, but the tension in his shoulders speaks volumes. We step onto the transporter pads. The familiar hum rises, that comforting vibration that always feels like the ship herself wishing us safe passage. Energize, I say quietly. The world dissolves in a shimmer of light. The air of Valoria Prime greeted us like a warm, living breath, rich with the scent of turned soil, blooming night jasmine analogues, and a faint metallic ozone that could only come from advanced power systems. Dawn painted the sky in soft lavenders and golds, the twin suns rising slowly over rolling hills, dotted with both ancient stone farmhouses and newly constructed crystalline arrays that caught the light like silent guardians. We materialized in a quiet grove just outside the southern capital of Larenth. The grass beneath our boots was soft and slightly damp, whispering as we began our walk toward the main thoroughfare. Ensign Talira from anthropology moved beside me, her disguised eyes wide with academic wonder. "Captain," she murmured, voice low, "the architectural blend is extraordinary. Traditional timber and clay structures now reinforced with precision-machined support struts. Look at the irrigation canals, laser-etched for perfect flow efficiency. This should have taken centuries." Gus adjusted the strap of his simple satchel, playing the role of our guide. And yet it happened in one lifetime. Stay close. Observe first. Speak gently. We entered the outskirts of Larenth as the morning market stirred. Locals in earth-toned tunics moved with purposeful calm, many carrying tools or baskets. Children laughed near a fountain that bubbled with purified water far cleaner than any pre-warp society should achieve. And there, moving among them with deliberate, almost reverent grace, were the Borg. Not the nightmarish figures of tactical reports. These drones had the characteristic pallid skin and tubular implants snaking beneath their reinforced plating, one optical implant glowing softly, yet their movements lacked the mechanical menace we associate with the collective. One drone, its left arm ending in a multi-tool appendage rather than a cutting beam, knelt beside an elderly Valorian whose leg bore an old injury. With precise care, it extended assimilation tubules, not for conversion, but to deliver what must have been regenerative nanoprobes. The old man smiled serenely, patting the drone's armored shoulder as though blessing a devoted servant. "Praise the Sky Guardians," the man said aloud, voice carrying that melodic Valorian accent. "My pain fades again today." I felt a profound stillness settle over me as we watched, the gentle whir of servos blending with birdsong, the soft click of metallic fingers working with surgical tenderness. Was almost hypnotic. We approached a group of 3 civilians sharing a morning meal at a public table. Gus initiated contact with practiced warmth. "Fair dawn to you, friends. We are travelers from the high valleys, come to witness the blessings of the age. Might we share your table and your stories?" The Valorians welcomed us without suspicion. An older woman named Alara, her face etched with years of hard labor now eased, spoke first. "You have chosen a good time, strangers. The Guardians arrived when my grandmother was a child. Our world was dying then, blight upon the fields, fever that took whole villages, the ground itself growing barren from overfarming. We fought wars over the last clean water. Then the great silver vessel fell from the sky, not in fire and conquest, but in silence. It rested upon the northern plains. The Guardians emerged. They asked nothing at first, only observed. When the final famine came, they offered gifts. Knowledge of the soil, machines that pull energy from the sun and the deep earth, healing that mends bones and blood. Her companion, a younger man with calloused hands, nodded eagerly. In 100 years we have gone from wooden plows to engines that nearly touch the speed of light in our laboratories. The Guardians teach without forcing, they build for us. See the new thermal towers on the ridge? They power our homes in their own resting alcoves. They call it symbiosis, a word they taught us. We give them the minerals their bodies require to function. They give us tomorrow. Mark David stood slightly apart, his disguised features tight. I could see his fists clenched at his sides. When the civilians spoke of the Guardians as angels sent by the heavens, his breathing grew sharper. Navi, ever the calm observer, asked the perfect question. And do the Guardians ever speak of others like them, a greater family among the stars? Ilara's face brightened. Oh yes, the Holy Scrolls speak of the great choir, the collective, whose song will one day join our world fully when we are worthy. Some priests say the final harmony approaches. We must prepare our hearts and obey the sacred laws, lest the blessing depart. That last part sent a chill through me despite the warm sunlight. Troubling indeed. We continued our wanderings through the growing city. The sensory tapestry was rich and soothing in its unexpected peace. The low, resonant hum of solar collectors turning to follow the suns, the gentle, metallic tones of drones assisting in construction, stacking precision-cut stones with anti-grav lifts of their own design. One drone, its voice a modulated, almost soothing monotone, instructed a team of Valorian engineers on optimizing a geothermal tap. Efficiency increases 17% with this lattice alignment. Sustainability serves all. Gus pulled me aside near a quiet garden square where water features trickled in perfect Fibonacci patterns. Captain, this defies every encounter on record. These drones exhibit basic self-preservation, yes, recharging in their alcoves like monks in prayer, but no overt assimilation. No threats. The Valorians were on the brink of collapse, ecological and social. This partnership has granted them a renaissance. I nodded slowly, the weight of wonder settling in my chest like a deep, contemplative breath. And yet the caution remains. The collective does not simply disconnect. If these drones were severed from the hive mind by some unknown force, what happens when the greater voice calls them home? We found a shaded archive hall, open to all citizens, where ancient scrolls had been carefully preserved alongside new data crystals. Navi and Telara examined illuminated texts while I kept watch. Passages described the silver star that sang salvation and foretold the day when the full choir descends to embrace the worthy in eternal unity. The language carried both hope and subtle warning. Obey the temple authorities, honor the tithes of resources to the Guardians, or risk the angels withdrawing their grace. Mark could contain himself no longer. We had gathered in a secluded alcove behind the archive to share discreet observations. His voice rose, controlled but edged with raw conviction. This is exactly how it begins, Captain. A foothold. They let the culture grow dependent, accelerate their tech so resistance becomes impossible when the cube arrives. I've seen the logs from Wolf 359. The Kyushu tried to fight. My brother sent one last transmission before the cutting beam tore through their hull. These angels are scouts. We should dispatch them now, quietly, surgically, while they're disconnected. Free these people before the nightmare descends. The Prime Directive doesn't demand we watch a civilization get softened up for slaughter. The words echoed a little too loudly off the stone walls. A passing Valorian glanced over curiously before continuing on. I met his gaze firmly but without anger, my voice low and steady, carrying the calm authority of the center chair. "Lieutenant David, stand down. Your passion is understood, but this is not the time or place. We are guests here, uninvited observers. The Prime Directive binds us precisely because we do not know the full story. Your suggestion crosses the line from protection into interference. We will discuss this aboard the ship, not here." Gus placed a steadying hand on Mark's shoulder. Navi simply watched, her expression one of measured empathy. Mark's jaw worked for a moment. The fire of Wolf 359, the screams across the calm channels, the debris fields, the helpless rage of watching a loved one's ship vanish in green cutting beams, still burned behind his eyes. But discipline won. He lowered his head. "Understood, sir. I apologize for raising my voice. It won't happen again, planetside." I gave him a single nod of acknowledgement. "We all carry our scars, Mark. The measure of an officer is how we temper them with wisdom. Continue the mission." The rest of the afternoon unfolded in that same meditative rhythm. We observed drones constructing a new solar farm on the city's edge, their black-armored forms moving in perfect coordination, yet pausing to help Valorian children who approached them without fear. One small girl placed a flower on a drone's shoulder plating. The drone analyzed it briefly, then responded in its calm, resonant tone. "Organic beauty enhances environmental stability. Thank you, small unit." The child beamed as though an angel had spoken her name. Dr. Jeffries would later review our tricorder data, with quiet awe back on the ship. The technology shared was life-giving, nanoprobes tailored for healing rather than conversion, power systems that enriched the planet's biosphere instead of stripping it. Yet the faint subspace echoes suggested these drones still retained a distant, analytical drive for survival. They needed the minerals and energy. The Valorians needed hope. A bargain struck in desperation, perhaps, but one that had flowered into something almost tender. As the twin suns began their slow descent, painting the sky in deep ambers and purples that made the thermal generators glow like sacred lanterns, we made our way back to the beam-out coordinates. The air had grown cooler, carrying the faint, soothing electrical scent of the Guardian's work mixed with wood smoke from evening hearths. I walked in contemplative silence for a time, the robes brushing softly against the grass. The crew's amazement was palpable, matched only by our shared caution. Could the Borg collective truly be on its way, drawn by some signal in the holy texts? Or was this another layer of the mystery? Captain's log, supplemental. The away team has returned safely. The Penrose once again embraces us with her familiar, gentle hum. Mark David has requested a moment in the ready room later to speak privately. I sense the apology forming already, but more importantly, I sense growth. The Valorians thrive in ways that challenge everything we thought we knew about the Borg. Their angels build rather than consume. Yet the scrolls hint at greater forces stirring. We remain vigilant, we remain respectful, and we allow this world to continue writing its own extraordinary chapter. For now. The stars outside my ready room window seem a little softer tonight, as though the universe itself is breathing slowly, inviting us to listen more deeply. Captain's log, stardate 48914, point 2. The Penrose rests in quiet orbit, high above Valoria Prime. Her running lights dimmed to a gentle glow that mirrors the contemplative mood throughout the ship. The bridge is bathed in soft amber night cycle lighting. Only the faintest pulse of the inertial dampeners and the occasional whisper of a console can be heard, like distant waves on a faraway shore. I sit in the center chair, letting the slow rotation of the planet fill the view screen, its continents drifting past in peaceful silence. The revelations of the past hours have left all of us in a state of deep, almost meditative reflection. After our first away mission, I authorized a second discreet excursion under the same anthropological cover. This time, we focused on the Grand Archive vaults beneath the central temple complex in Lyrinth, ancient stone halls now illuminated by the soft blue radiance of Borg-derived crystalline lighting. The air down there carried a cool, earthy stillness, scented with aged parchment, polished metal, and the faint ozone hum of the power conduits the Guardians had so carefully installed along the walls. Navi led the deeper analysis with her characteristic precision. Her fingers moved across a disguised tricorder as we studied illuminated scrolls and newly etched data crystals side by side. "Captain," she said in that calm, velvet tone that always invites one to breathe more slowly, "the historical record contains a pivotal event approximately 112 years ago. A massive silver vessel, described as a star of perfect geometry, emerged from a spatial rift above the northern plains. Not under power, but tumbling, wounded. The local astronomers recorded severe damage to its structure. Then, silence. For weeks, the vessel simply rested. Gus stood nearby, arms folded, listening as though hearing an ancient lullaby. The texts say the people feared the end of the world. Instead, a single voice, not the unified thunder they expected from the legends of the Great Choir, spoke from the vessel. It identified itself only as a fragment seeking continuation. The Valorians, facing famine and plague, offered what they had: access to mineral deposits and geothermal vents. In return, the voice offered knowledge. I felt the weight of wonder settle deeper into my chest as the pieces aligned. These were not standard Borg drones operating under the relentless drive of the collective we have come to fear. The cold, assimilating force that declares resistance futile and consumes without mercy. Something had severed this cube from the hive mind. An unknown force, perhaps a powerful anomaly, an ancient precursor device, or some cosmic event the records only hint at as the Great Silence, had reprogrammed its core imperatives. Survival replaced perfection. Adaptation replaced conquest. The drones that emerged were still analytical, still nearly emotionless in their modulated voices, yet they displayed a pure, almost childlike desire to continue existing. They required specific crystalline minerals and steady energy flows to maintain their regeneration alcoves. The Valorians needed salvation from collapse. A bargain was struck, not of domination, but of mutual continuation. Symbiosis. We observed one such alcove during our visit, hidden respectfully behind a lattice screen in a public square. The low rhythmic cycling sound it produced, soft pulses of energy recharging the resting drone, created an oddly soothing atmosphere. The Valorians who passed by bowed their heads in gratitude, treating the alcove like a shrine. One woman placed a small offering of fresh fruit at its base. The drone, upon reactivating, analyzed the offering and responded in its serene monotone, "Organic nutrient noted. Atmospheric stability improved by 3%. Gratitude extends efficiency." Mark David walked beside me through these halls, quieter now. The fire from yesterday had banked into something more thoughtful. We paused before a vast mural depicting the Guardians constructing enormous solar arrays across the ridgelines and thermal taps that descended deep into the planet's crust. These structures served dual purposes with elegant efficiency, flooding the Valorian cities with clean power while simultaneously feeding the modified Borg charging networks. Sunlight and planetary heat sustaining both civilizations. "It's not what I expected," Mark said at last, his voice low and measured, carrying the faint tremor of someone confronting long-held pain. At Wolf 359 they were relentless destroyers. No negotiation, just green cutting beams and assimilation. My brother's last words were trying to rally his crew even as the Kyushu came apart. But these, they build, they sustain. They ask only for what they need to live. We returned to the ship as the twin suns set once more, painting the sky in those rich, slow-burning hues of amber and violet that make one want to simply sit and breathe. In the briefing room, the senior staff gathered under the gentle lighting. Dr. Jeffries had reviewed all the medical and technological samples we had passively scanned. "The nanoprobes here have been retuned," she explained softly. "Healing protocols dominate, no forced conversion. These drones are preserving life, both theirs and the Valorians." Lieutenant Commander von Roeder leaned forward, his German accent warm in the quiet room. "The thermal generators are masterpieces of pragmatic design. They stabilize the planet's climate while recharging the drones, a perfect closed loop, efficiency that honors life rather than consumes it." Navi added the final layer with characteristic, calm clarity. Further cross-reference of the Holy Scrolls against oral histories from the archive keepers reveals the warning passages were added much later, approximately 40 years ago, by a faction of temple authorities. There is no evidence in the original records of an impending arrival of the full collective. The priests fabricated the threat of the Great Choir's judgment to consolidate power. By convincing the population that the Guardian's blessing could be withdrawn if tithes were not paid and strict laws not followed, they elevated their own status. The drones themselves remain unaware of this manipulation. They simply continue their analytical work. The realization settled over us like a soft blanket, troubling yet strangely relieving. The symbiosis was genuine. The drones, driven by that stripped-down imperative to survive, had become selfless helpers in the eyes of the people. The Valorians had gone from the brink of collapse to standing on the threshold of their own future, accelerated but not stolen. I called Mark David to my ready room afterward. The space was dimmed to its most contemplative setting, only the star field beyond the windows and the quiet glow of a single desk lamp. He entered and stood at attention, but I gestured for him to sit. "Captain," he began before I could speak, his voice carrying genuine remorse, "I owe you and the team a full apology. On the surface, I let my history with the Borg cloud my judgment. Wolf 359 taught me to see only the threat. But what we've witnessed here is different. These drones aren't the collective anymore. They're survivors making the best bargain they can, just as the Valorians are. I was ready to destroy something beautiful out of fear. That's not who I want to be as an officer." I studied him for a long moment, the ship's gentle hum filling the comfortable silence between us. "Apology accepted, Mark. You're a fine tactical officer and a good man. Your instincts have saved lives before, and will again. But yes, going forward I will think carefully before placing you on any mission involving the Borg. Not as punishment, but as respect for what you carry. We all have our scars. The important thing is that we learn to see clearly, despite them." He nodded, a quiet weight lifting from his shoulders. "Thank you, sir. I won't let it happen again." We spoke a while longer, about his brother, about the strange mercy the universe sometimes shows, about how even the most terrifying symbols in our shared history might, under the right unknown forces, become something gentler. The conversation itself felt like a slow, restorative exhale. Later, alone in the ready room, I activated the final log entry. Captain's log, supplemental. After careful deliberation with the senior staff, the decision is unanimous. The symbiotic relationship between the Valorian people and these detached Borg drones is, at present, beneficial to both. The drones receive the resources they require to maintain their existence. The Valorians receive knowledge, healing, and sustainable advancement that has quite literally saved their civilization. While the manipulation by certain religious leaders is regrettable, it is an internal matter for this culture to resolve as they continue to mature. Interfering would violate the very spirit of the Prime Directive we are sworn to uphold. We have honored our highest calling, to observe without altering, to wonder without imposing, to protect the right of a people, even one walking alongside such improbable companions, to chart their own course among the stars. The Penrose will break orbit shortly. No messages sent, no technology left behind beyond what they have already earned through their own partnership. The Valorians will wake tomorrow to the same gentle hum of solar arrays and the same quiet guardians moving among them, unaware that strangers from the Federation watched over their world for a brief time with care and restraint. As I sit here now, the stars streaking into warp as we depart, I feel a profound sense of peace. The galaxy is vast, mysterious, and occasionally kind in the most unexpected ways. A reprogrammed cube that chose survival through cooperation rather than conquest. A people who saw angels where others see only threat. A crew that faced our own biases and chose wisdom. Lieutenant David remains a valued member of this family. His growth today only strengthens us. And the Penrose continues her quiet journey, saucer section gleaming softly against the endless night, carrying stories we will remember for a long time.